Hey, welcome back, guys. So today we are working on some more mechanical stuff, trying to fix up some equipment here before we use it. And it is kind of a cloudy, overcast day. It rained last night, so we are working on getting everything ready so when it does dry out, we're ready to hit the field hard and try and get those lentils in. It's actually been about a week or so since we were able to last work the ground, and yeah. What we got going on here is we are working on an implement, actually two implements. They're called a Coulty weeder, and the way they work is kind of like a hoe in your garden. They physically, mechanically weed out all of the things in the ground that we don't want. So I'll show you guys here. If you look down, there's two of these implements side by side, and there's this rod that will go under the ground and it will be turning backwards, and that mechanically lifts the weeds or anything that you don't want in the dirt, and it kind of lays it on top of the soil, and then the sun dries it all out and it dies. So this is a pretty old form of tillage and kind of a pretty old form of removing your weeds, but guess what, nothing gets resistant to this. So as you can see, each one of these, I believe, is about 36 feet, just like a cultivator. And this other implement down here, same exact way. You can see the rod here. It, again, would turn backwards and lift all of the weeds and those sorts of things out of the ground and make it so they're all dead. So when we go back in to plant the crop that we do want, they won't be growing. So these two implements, they actually get used quite a bit here on our farm, and we are looking to update equipment slowly, just like all farms. And this form of farming practice is pretty old, but it definitely works and gets the job done. And so this weeder that we have, it gets used quite a bit, and when things get used, they break. And on this one that I'm standing next to, it has some frame cracking and structural integrity damage. And so my dad and I were taking the day to take some of the old parts off, modify them, do a little bit of welding, and put them all back, and hopefully get it ready. So when, like I said, when the weather dries out and the field is ready, we can hit it hard and get our field work done. So as you can see, this chain that is holding all of this stuff together, that obviously is not supposed to be there. That's a farmer field fix. But if you look here, this is a main tube that goes all the way up to the drawbar that would hook to the tractor. And this is the framing of the implement, and it has cracked here in the past. So what we've done is we've gone in here and welded this up before, and it's kind of like a band-aid. It fixes the problem for a little bit until it cracks again. And so we finally are to the point where we got some used but non-broken tubes, and we will take that tube off and put one of these on and go from there. The other thing that we're dealing with too is some of these shanks that are actually lifted right now. They can be put down into the ground, but they are broken and would not be usable. And they actually broke, like here's a prime example. This one's all bent. They broke because of the cracking on both sides. So under this big crescent wrench, you can see the cracking here as well. Well, you can't actually see the crack, but there are cracks on the bottom side. And that allowed the implement to sag on one side, and then these shanks, even when they were up out of in the position to not be used, they sagged low enough, and the soil caught them and ripped them off and kind of bent them all up and stuff like that. So my dad and I were going through fixing all of that and getting it ready to use. Boy, that made it move.
Yeah, I know. That's what we need to put a block under it or something, maybe.
Probably
Which way did it move?
up. It came like that.
Oh. Oh, okay, but the wheel didn't move forward?
No.
Oh. You're going to need to cut that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me cut it.
You want me to hit the pin? You want me to hit this pin right here?
Yeah, why don't we hit the pin?
We got it. Looks like we got to do the roll. I don't have the roll pins out
Oh.
on the side.
Okay, leave that.
Oh, leave that.
Leave something in there. Hold it up.
Yeah,
There.
it had a burr on it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Here, we'll help you on that. Just hold on. I wondered if you just saw that off. He's gonna do it.
So we got the pieces of framework moved in here to the shop, and then we are going to cut off the old piece that we don't want, weld on the new piece that we do want, and we're gonna use the plasma cutter to do that. So the first thing we gotta do is get all the paint off, so when we hook the plasma cutter up, or just like a welder too, we wanna make sure and have a nice solid ground, so we gotta get the paint out of the way, otherwise the ground and electricity won't flow through and have as good a connection or connectivity as we would like. So we're gonna cut this ear off, these two, I guess, hinge points, and weld them to the tube down here, because this is obviously a used piece of framework, and somebody at some point took a torch and cut off the pieces that we need. If they hadn't done that, then we could literally take that one, stick it on the machine, and wouldn't even have to mess with this one. But they didn't, so we'll cut this off and weld it on. Okay, so we are back here the next day. just about to finish up working on these Kolta weeders, which are actually made here in Washington State. They are made in Spokane, or were, I should say, past tense, back in, I don't know, the 80s, 90s. And then the company that purchased out the company that made them is actually located here in my hometown of Garfield, Washington. So they originally were made by a company called Calkins, and then Calkins got purchased by a company called J.E. Love, and it's a family. Their last name is Love, and like I said, they're located here in Garfield. So these weeders you can still get parts for them in our hometown, which there's not much in my little hometown, so it's kind of one of the cool things that we have going on here.